One of the great things about JavaScript is that you can literally pass any object to a function, class, React component, whatever. It really gives you a lot of flexibility, but often enough you will find yourself in a situation where you need to check if such an object actually contains any data. Maybe you need this because you need to do some logging if the object is empty, or you do not want to render a React component for an empty object. A function like maybe isEmpty would be really helpful then. The problem is that there is no such function built into JavaScript, so you have to build such logic yourself. I want to show you some possible ways to solve this problem in this video. Okay, so one way to implement such a function could be to iterate over the object with a for loop but return false in the loop body, because as soon as we enter that loop body, it means there's at least one property in the object, so it is not empty. If we never reach the return false statement in the loop body, we return true, so the object is empty. The next way to implement this would be to use object.keys. This function returns a string array containing all the names of the keys in the object. So if this object returns an empty array, it means that the object itself is empty. A very similar approach would be to use the object.values function. In this case, you will get an array of all property values of the object. Again, if the array is empty, it means that the object contains no data. Also very similar to the previous two solutions is the object.entries function. Again, you get an array and the length of 0 tells you that the object is empty. And the same goes for object.getOwnProperty names, with the same result. If you want to know the difference between object.keys and object.getOwnProperty names, see the link in the description to find out. Another different approach would be to serialize the object to a JSON string and check that the resulting JSON string is equal to an empty pair of curly braces. Okay, so these are some different ways to implement an isEmpty function for JavaScript objects. Which of the solutions would I choose? Well, I guess I wouldn't go for the JSON serialization, because the point is that you don't know how large this object is, and maybe you would serialize a large object to a JSON string just to find out if it's not empty, so this might be a bit overkill, I think. I would use the object.keys function because it is pretty easy to use, and I think in most scenarios that will do the trick. There's one more thing I want to show you. If you want to use your custom isEmpty function regularly, you might want to be able to call it directly on the object like this. And you can do this quite easily by extending the object prototype with your function. You just have to use the this keyword to access the desired object. Simple as that. That's it for this video. If you want to know how to easily implement a context menu with React.js, I'd recommend this video next. Thanks for watching, bye!